My name is Melanie Jacob, and we've been doing real estate note investing since 2018. This is just part of a presentation that we did to the Ann Arbor Real Estate Investment Club, and it's a Friday night. We're working late, and it's just going to be a quick overview. Here's a little bit about our background. Currently, Phil is still at Ford Motor Company. He's got his he's an engineer, as well as he's got his MBA from Rice University. I am a serial entrepreneur and actually a registered dietitian, which I left my counseling practice of 15 years when we moved to China back in 2015. Yes, we moved to Chongqing, China. I packed up my office, my kids, 2 kids, and my house, and moved around the world. If you can do that, you can do anything. So thus, we came back to Michigan, which is where we're from, and that sort of propelled me into finding some alternative ways for me to work from home. So why do we buy notes? We buy mortgage notes so we can get passive income. We're not really limited to the areas around Detroit. However, we do invest heavily in Michigan. So you can go where the markets are the best, actually. There's not the hassles with tenants. Your investment is typically leveraged by the actual asset, which is the house, and you have more diversification in your investments. We're not financial advisors, lawyers, accountants, etc. Please consult your own, and all investing carries a degree of risk. So our focus is we buy from banks, hedge funds, and at steep discounts, and we become the bank. We prefer owner-occupied homes with recent pay histories, and specifically we found that performing notes work really well in our own self-directed IRAs, specifically a Roth IRA, which actually creates tax-free savings. Those are our primary states. Phil's from Texas, I'm from Wisconsin, and we live in Michigan. And the other few are in the Midwest, and then of course Florida, which is actually a pretty active state. We invest in single-family residence, first lien, and in the value range of 50 to 250K. So what's a note? A note is a promise to pay. It's secured by an asset. So for example, when you have a car loan, you have a note with the collateral of the car, and if you don't pay your note for your car, they come back and take the car. Well, a land contract is very similar. And so the tape that we're making bids on right now is a land contract. So the note is something that's there with the collateral of the house. And there's all different types of notes, mortgage notes on residence, commercial property, for performing and non-performing, first lien and second lien. Typically we buy first lien, performing and non-performing notes. The paper and the property. A lot of people who work in real estate can't really wrap their mind around the paper side of this, but the actual paper behind the property is what we manage, and it's really the two sides of the same coin, but they both have value, but without the paper and the property, you can't have value by yourself. So here's the process we use. We actually network and vet our sellers. We make an indicative bid. If the bid is accepted, we get the soft collateral file through a digital format. We have about 10 days to 2 weeks to do our due diligence. We look up taxes, water, utilities. We get a title report. We get a CMA or a BPO from a local real estate agent. And then we sign the purchase and sales agreement. We fund the deal, and we then get the deed and assignment of mortgage, a longe, and the actual hard collateral file. After we get the hard collateral file, we try to do the recording of the deed in the actual county. And then we are, at the same time, we're transferring or boarding at the servicer, who actually manages all the payments. So when you get a note, there's a lot of terms on the spreadsheet. UPB is called unpaid balance. The P&I is principal and interest. T&I is taxes and insurance. There's an interest rate. Typically with subprime market, it's 8 to 10%. We try to avoid usury rates, obviously, and there's terms. So it's the months of the loan. There's a start and end date, a certain type of seasoning, which is how many months have they been paying regularly. The payoff amount, not always, but if the lender has actually made advances for taxes, sometimes that's listed. This is a sample of a digital sample of a tape. Sometimes these tapes come in hundreds, sometimes they come in tens, but typically we make bids on small pools. Once you buy a note, you can have a number of exit strategies. I can go into this a little bit later, but like with any real estate investment, there's a number of investment strategies. Performing notes are more a buy and hold type of process with hope for appreciation, as well as you could buy low and sell high, like any good real estate investment. Non-performing notes offer a lot of opportunities for exits, and those obviously come with extra costs and extra time. So holding a note, the key thing with holding a note, if you're looking at this over a period of 2019 to 2049, okay, that's a 20-year gap. The first probably, first 10 years of that, it's primarily interest. So when you're paying back a loan that's starting at 20-year amortization, you're getting mostly the interest return over the first 10 years. So that's where you capitalize a lot of your actual gain. Again, this is just an example of a 20-year amortization, and that's paying off month to month. Oh, this says over 360 payments, sorry, 30 years. Okay, this is a buy and hold example that we bought in Wisconsin. It's a performing CFD. It's a nice property. It's a good sized property, although it's a rural property. Fair market value is about $80,000. Unpaid balance is $53,000. We bought it at a discount. The payout that we'll get over the 18 years left in the term is about $109,000. And the interest and principal is coming back every month since we bought this. There's other examples of Detroit. I want to reach out. I want to touch this briefly. When we buy a non-performing note, we rehab the borrower. So we buy the non-performing note with recent pay histories with owner occupancy. So we do the borrower outreach in hopes that we could engage the borrower to see, hey, do you want to stay in your house? What happened? Listen to their story, and then go from there to try to do a forbearance agreement. A lot of times these agreements are written up by the legal team, and then we start a forbearance agreement, like a 6-month trial payment plan. If they can't pay in 6 months, we usually typically realize that they're not able to stay in the house. But if they do pay for 6 months, then we can do a loan modification and we can adjust some of the terms. We can also, if you hold the, which was now a non-performing note and it becomes performing, if you hold that note for 6 to 12 months, you'll actually can sell that note as a performing note for a higher price. And then you get returns 2 ways. You're getting returns through collecting the principal and interest over the 12-month period. And then after the seasoning, you actually sell it for a higher price.